if anything, my background in stand-up benefited me because I do have the luxury of being like a writer that has like a lot of space and time to write now. But in the back of my head, because of my background in stand-up, there's always this like ticking timer, like hurry, you gotta make it funny now, or like you gotta like make it juicy right now because you're losing their attention. It's almost like there's someone standing here being like, it's getting boring, and then which is something that I use a lot in my writing. And so, a lot of people have told me that my book is like easy for them to read. And I think a lot of that is because of my background in stand up. Like there's like this like internal timer that's like knows when people are getting bored. It was very hard, I think, initially when I first started writing the book, because it's like you said, it's like a very different medium. You don't get this immediate response like in social media content or being on the stage where you think it was funny and then you say it and then no one laughs and you're like, oh, okay, that wasn't funny. With writing, you're just like, I don't know what's going on. And I did feel really lost at first when I was writing it. And now that I'm getting a lot of feedback from people and people are saying parts of it are funny, the parts that they think are funny are, I'm just like, oh, I guess that was funny. Like it's kind of like unknown to me, but I guess it's like, there is I think there is an inherent humorous part of my personality that I just find things funny and I like expressing that. And I think there's also a part of me where I've honed this reading the room kind of craft through stand up. And I think I just had to like trust that. So I'm very open about discussing this because, like I said, I have ADHD and I feel like all my life I've been really criticized heavily for my work process. Just beginning in school, right? um I don't have like a work process. I'm very like spontaneous. I write things down in, like cocktail napkins and then I like tape them together. And how I wrote the book was just like on my phone, like when I thought of something and just with like 19 Google Docs, with like 8 versions of one page on it. And then I would just like copy paste into one page and send it to my editor. um and so I have a very sloppy, disorganized style. It doesn't make any sense to anybody. And during the writing of the book, and so, to answer your question, I had no plan. I had no outline. I mean, I had an outline when I sent in the proposal, but it was, very different than the end product. And I just sort of like winged it. But and during the process I was like very judging myself. Like I was like, why can't I do the thing where I have a file on my desktop and there's like 20 files in it with dates and like they're named properly and labeled properly. Like everything that I write is labeled like final, final, final. Like I can't figure it out. But then I realized that I was turning everything in on time. Like there was no, I was like, when my editor was like, can I have a chapter by this date? I was doing that. So I think with that realization, I stopped judging myself. I was like, I work in this way that all my life during school or work or what professional settings I was told is incorrect. But the truth of the matter is that I've somehow figured out how to work with my brain and make it work and meet my deadline. And I have to stop self like criticizing myself and giving myself a hard time because it's kind of getting in the way of my own process. You know what I mean? So